Sergio Conceicao has left Porto after a 7-year tenure, leaving the club in quite a precarious position. Although Porto are currently standing third in the league, the departure of Mourinho may have created an opportunity for Porto to regain their title. In this career mode, club legend Pepe, who's played at Madrid and finished his career at Porto, has returned to rebuild the club to its glory. Looking at the starting 11, it is pretty strong, so I've decided to keep it with a 4-2-3-1. With fast players like Pepe and Borges on the wing, and Moura to link up the attacking play, I think this team could really stand a good chance in the league. We also brought in Barros as a solid prospect in the future. In Pepe's first league game since taking over, it was about as intense as you'd expect, as Loda took the ball off the defender, running through the intensity to finish the goal nicely. We held on with the quality as Moura took the ball off the defender again, playing a decent ball through, which found Samu, who ran through pretty quickly and finished the chance nicely. I always thought Samu was probably too good for this league, and I think he's proved it here. Moving to the Europa League, we ended up playing against Braga somehow in the knockout. We played some pretty good football linking up the play, but unfortunately the defender booted it away. As we discovered in this career mode, Braga also were quite a formidable side, as their striker put in a good shot which was saved by Diogo Costa. Just near the death, we almost thought we lost it all, as the striker scored but it was offside. But in the end, our team won, as Ivan and Jamie ran through with a pretty good run and put the ball away nicely. This is our rotated starting 11 against Benfica in the league. We thought we had a pretty solid chance here as the team had been in quite good form, but one thing I found out about Liga Portugal is that the league is often decided in the 6-pointer games against the big teams, as all the other teams in the league are so much worse. I think in this game we tried to treat Benfica as if they were a normal Portuguese side, but in the end, although we did have some good attacks, as I think it was Moura or someone here ran through the ball and tried to play it along, but the keeper managed to stop it, Benfica were just too good for us. Our defenders were all over the place trying to slide in, but they would just shuffle around us and move the ball quickly. We even had a chance here from Pepe to make it 2-1, but he somehow put it wide. In the away game, we were out of match once again, as Pavlidis ran through the ball, dinking Diogo Costa, making the final score, I think it was 3-0 loss. By the end of the season, we actually made a pretty good performance, as we reached the final of Taça Portuguesa and the Europa League, losing both finals somehow though, meaning that we lost out on silverware, financial rewards, and also an easier qualification for Europe. Reflecting back on the season as well, I thought that Moura struggled a bit in the cam role, and that we may need to switch to a different formation. Over the summer, we tried to strengthen the squad significantly as we brought in Samu Costa from Mallorca in the centre mid role for some experience and also depth. Kevin Boma, who plays at Estoril Praia and is a young, exciting defender that really would add some depth to the team. And we also added another striker, and that was in Oscar Aranda, who plays for Famalicão, was a high-scoring striker in real life, and I thought would add some more depth for the forwards. Also, we did decide to bring in Nehun Perez on a permanent deal after we loaned him in last season from Udinese. However, although we didn't spend much, we did have to make some sales, as our left-back Moura forced his way out of the club, deciding to go to Ajax, which was also only for around 13 million euros, which wasn't that great. After progressing through the qualification rounds of the Champions League, we ended up playing Madrid in the league phase. Samu scored a pretty nice consolation goal here, but in the end we ended up losing 4-1. In the end we did make a decent progression as we made it in top 8 of the league phase and ended up going out to Dortmund, which I believe was in the quarter-final of the competition, which was a pretty decent performance. I thought after we started Pepe and Ivan Jamie on the wings in a 4-4-2 formation, we definitely seemed a lot stronger this season. I think that tactical switch as well meant that we could actually reach the Taça Portuguesa final again, in the exact same situation as we were facing Sporting again, our nemesis. And in the end, it was pretty embarrassing again. Quenda and Araujo scored within 20 minutes, and in the end, we lost 3-1, which was pretty embarrassing, as we bottled our third final in 2 seasons. In spite of that, the records have showed that Porto was a top performer in the season, as Navarro and Samu were high scorers. Varela and Pepe did really well in the assist category, alongside João Mario, and in terms of clean sheets, Diogo Costa was the leader, suggesting that we should do a lot better in the league. Checking our stats here again, Samu and Navarro had insane seasons, potentially earning them a big move elsewhere, but for now we'd want to keep them here. We also brought in Rooney Bargi and Arando, which I thought did pretty decent for their first season as well. Forgot to say as well, we brought in Anthony towards the end of the transfer window, and he performed okay for us but didn't do too much. Also, Costa with 5 assists was a bit strange. Season 3 rolled around, and we were facing a few expiring contracts for high-value players, meaning that we might have to sell some of them. That included Costa and Pepe, who were not exactly young, but were definitely too good for our team at this point. I also thought that Estacao and I think it was Sanusi hadn't really been given proper chances in the team so far, so it was in question whether they would be staying with us in the long term, whether we'd prioritise other players like Fernandez to play fullback. Varela was also someone that I earmarked as a potential outgoing, as although he was a proper player that was a leader in our team, I definitely listened to some good offers for him. And in the end, Varela ended up going to Real Madrid for 85 million, similar to Casemiro's exit probably decades prior. Pepe went to City, Sanusi to Leicester, and Diogo Costa for a huge 95 million fee to Juventus. We also sold Vasco Sosa to Bologna, who wasn't really breaking into the team and didn't really fit our new formation. I was pretty happy with these sales as they allowed us to bring in some really young and exciting players, not including Casemiro, but, as a Porto legend, I had to bring him back. Retegui, Pacquiao and Andrew, though, were really exciting players. And Chavaria and Sousa, I thought that they were quite high performers in the Liga and Liga Portugal, I believe it was, League One. And I thought they could add some more depth and experience into the team. Andrew's a goalkeeper as well that I've had my eye on for a few career modes in the past because he seems like someone with high potential. Seems like he's good on the ball as well, which is something that I like to see in my teams. And then Retegui and Pacquiao, I feel like the big names in Europe at the minute that could develop with us. On paper, the team didn't look much stronger as we had a much rotated side and ended up losing 1-0 to Benfica. We also unfortunately went out to Fenerbahce in the qualification round, even though we beat them last year in the same exact fixture, meaning that we would end up in Europa. In the end, we didn't actually have a great performance in the Europa, even though we finished 8th in the Champions League phase last year. I think we ended up around, 9th, just missing out on the sort of automatic qualification. In the league, though, it's a completely different story, as a year before we were struggling in the league, and now we ended up in first place, with a decently healthy lead against some of the other teams. Back to the Europa, though, we unfortunately went out to Twente in the playoff round, which we wouldn't have had to play in if we had come in the top 8. It's not exactly the team you want to be going out to be honest. In the same vein, we went out to Rio Ave in a 2-fixture semi-final in the Taça Portuguesa, meaning that we wouldn't lose to Sporting for a third year in a row. We didn't really care though in the end, as we came to the final fixture of the league phase, meaning that if we won the game, we would actually win the title. Looking at our team, it looked much stronger than previous years, as we had some solid forwards to get some goals out of the team, and Jamie and Pacquiao had really improved the team's ability on the wings as well. Looking at the highlights, Gil Vicente definitely aren't an easy team to play. Portugal have a lot of strong defensive teams, but in the end, I believe as Pacquiao ran through with the ball and just put away the goal nicely. And in the end, that was enough. A 1-0 win gave us a title, meaning at long last we'd finally lifted silverware. It wasn't the Taça Portuguesa, it wasn't Europe, but it meant something to us. Samu had a really good season again. He was someone that definitely could have left if we had got the appropriate offer. Retegui had a good season as well, and Andrew managed to pick up quite nicely to replace Diogo Costa. Looking through our stats again, Retegui and Samu just looks well beyond sort of the league. Definitely, if I continue with this career mode, they probably end up exiting for huge fees. In terms of assists, Ivan Jamie was someone at the start of the career mode that I wasn't really a fan of, to be honest. I did send him out on loan and then did decide that he was worth a try, and he ended up, surprising me, which is it's nice to see in career modes. Looking at our final sort of standings, the 24-5 season, as we said, wasn't too great. 2 final losses. The second season, we went out quite early in a lot of competitions. Didn't perform too well in the league. But in our final season, you can just see that even our performances, they weren't improving massively, but we just won the right games, giving us the league in the end. So I think for this career mode, I think 3 seasons is probably enough to get to where we wanted to be. I don't really think it's that realistic to keep going with a team like Porto and sort of buying huge players, sort of bring us silverware and maybe the Europa Champions League, because it's not really that realistic, even though Mourinho did it many years ago. It was with a much weaker team, which I couldn't achieve, or Pepe couldn't achieve the same. I am trying to tweak my career modes a bit and add a bit more analysis. I'm someone that likes to analyse players and see how they fit into different clubs. So I might be using some more websites or stats to evidence why I might go for certain players. if people are sort of into that sort of thing. Also, in terms of upcoming career modes, I have already started on the next one. I'm already enjoying it a lot more than the first two I've done. It will be an Italian club that I'll be playing with, and I've definitely fixed the sort of the sliders for the in-game play, so it's a bit easier to have more balanced games. So that'll be really exciting. And after that, I think I'm going to go less into quick rebuilds and maybe rebuilds with more episodes in them, so a bit more broken up. But do comment what you think I should go for next. If you have any ideas, I'm happy to try them out. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and see you soon.